Our word study this week focuses on the word consequence. In our Bible story, the disciples and the Pharisees thought that someone being born blind was a consequence, a result of somebody else's sin. And so that's why we're taking a look at that word. That word consequence has a lot of different words and get down to different meanings to it. But one definition is this: the result of something that has happened, especially an unpleasant result. Sometimes we talk about that in the classroom where you do something and you get a consequence because you've done that. It's punishment or it's discipline, something like that. Now there's natural consequences where, for example, if I jump off a ladder 10 feet tall and then I fall down and I hurt myself, well, that happened naturally. That's a natural consequence. It happens because you did something. Administered consequence is when something happens where somebody else does something. You don't follow a rule. You break a law. You have something happen to you that somebody administers, somebody does to you. That's a planned and scripted consequence that somebody else carries out. Now, consequence we want to think about biblically is that a consequence of sin is death. Because Adam and Eve sinned, the consequence of that is that they would die. God told them that. And that everybody born from them was also born in that sin. And so we also die physically and spiritually. Now, troubles in this life, like things going wrong, can be a consequence of our actions. It can be. For example, if I decide to drive crazy, on the road, I may get into a car accident and now I have a big hospital bill or I hurt or whatever. If I break laws, the police may arrest me. I may lose different rights. If I do something, I can have a natural consequence. I'm mean to somebody, they might mean back to me. That's a natural consequence, but that's not how everything always works. Bad things can happen to us not because we've done anything, but simply because we're in a sinful, broken world where maybe somebody else does something bad to us, or we're just in this sinful, broken world that we get sick. I think we've discovered that. So here's the final thing. Troubles in this life may not be the direct consequence of a sin, but due to sin in general. Sometimes our hearts think, oh, that bad thing happened to somebody. It must be because they did something wrong. Or maybe something good happens to somebody. Somebody wins the lottery. Somebody gets lucky. Somebody finds something. Well, it must be because they did something good. That's our hearts thinking that's the way it works. That's not the way it works. In the sinful, broken world, sometimes it looks like it's random. And even wonderful, nice followers of God have bad things happen to them. They die at a young age, and we can't think that way. What we need to know is what Jesus teaches us this week, that despite the consequences of the sin in this world and how people experience brokenness, God still can use all of that. He works it all out for His glory and for our good. On the cross, Jesus shows us that. He took the consequences of all the sins upon Himself. Every bit of guilt, every bit of punishment, every bit of evil, He took that all on Himself and He suffered on the cross so we eternally will not have to deal with those consequences. Our word this week is consequence.